What's going on, guys? Nathan and Alan, we are your Heel Brothers, and welcome into the Scouting Report, where today we're going to take a look at North Carolina's Week 2 matchup against the Charlotte 49ers. Alan, looking forward to this game this week. Gonna be a few different interesting tidbits that go on with this game, some info that's going on, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this game is going to be like. But today we are thankfully joined by Hunter of the Highway 49 podcast. Hunter, man, I'm really excited to have you on today's podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time and coming out. You guys do a great job over there at Highway 49. Really quickly, tell us a little bit about yourself and about the Highway 49 podcast, and tell us what you do over there for Charlotte 49ers.
Yeah, man, appreciate y'all having me. I've been covering this team since about 2018. Right for the Charlotte Observer, so definitely check out some of that. And then Hannah, Jeremy, and I run the Highway 49 podcast. So yeah, definitely tune in, see what's going on with the Niners.
Yeah, ever since we found out about you guys, I've been keeping an eye on you, and I think you guys do a really good job. And if you are a Charlotte fan listening to the Scouting Report, be sure head over to YouTube. It's going to be down in the description. Go and click the link down below and go subscribe over to the Highway 49 podcast on YouTube. Do a great job. They're covering the Charlotte 49ers, giving you the inside details, and they do a great job. Hunter, Hannah, and also Jeremy. Man, we got some fun questions for you today. Try to get some intel on this 49ers team. I'm going to quickly lead off this week with let's talk about the elephant in the room here. There was, unfortunately, this past game, which y'all played against JMU, had a loss against JMU this past Saturday night, 30-7. You were missing some key players, it would seem. 8 starters, if I'm not mistaken, 8 to 9 starters for Charlotte. Tell me what happened there. What information do you have from the inside, and how did that affect you guys, not only this week, but could it affect you in weeks coming up?
Yeah, definitely. So that was a weird situation. The 8 or 9 starters, you announced that on game week. Just kind of it rubbed a lot of the fans the wrong way as far as hope for Saturday's game. It was still a great turnout, Jared Richardson Stadium, 15,614 fans.
Wow,
just past capacity for that stadium. And for Charlotte, everything looked fine in the first half. The game was extremely chaotic. But they were definitely missing some key players. Not all of them I would deem our starters, but I would say key contributors. Guys like Mo Clipper Jr. on the offensive line. He's a Tennessee transfer. Dwayne Thomas Jr., returning receiver. A couple guys on the defense, one of which from Carolina, JQ, Jaquarius Conley. He did not play. Mordecai McDaniel, safety from Florida. And quite a few other, like I say, fringe rotation guys. Like, I wouldn't deem all of these cats as starters. That's, I think, is a bit of a stretch, but definitely a lot of contributors. And the last one being CJ Stokes, a Michigan transfer. Poggi has talked a ton about him and what he did when Poggi was with the Wolverines. But like I say, he's not practiced here. So I'll be interested to see what he brings when he does get back on the field. But yeah, missing some key pieces, and it definitely bit them Saturday night.
With JQ in particular, because he was highly touted coming out of high school. You know, he came into North Carolina, was a big time contributor, got hurt late, had to recover all of next season. Then when he never really came back, then he transferred out. Then I'm not sure where he transferred after he left, if he went straight to you guys or went somewhere else, then came straight to you guys. Is he one of like the main cogs in the wheel on your defense, because in our defense, I would say when North Carolina's defense was playing well, it was a lot because of how he was playing.
Yeah, so he took a year off before coming to Charlotte. I'm not entirely sure what he went through then, whether it was recovery or what, but I would say yes to that. I mean, you need good safety play regardless, and run support, keeping the top on the defense. You need him to play well, and he's like that vocal leader for the defense. I wouldn't say he's the only one. There's definitely other guys. Donnie Balfour is another one, and then Mike Kelly has been key as well. But I would say his game, I'm ready to see it against another team, because how they handled practice through through the fall camp there was kind of odd. It wasn't all live, so you couldn't tell really who was going to be able to make that hit. Like, could he hit stick this running back if he's coming at him? Is this running back going to make a miss? Things like that. So I'm ready to see him in pads. I watched some of his film from his time at Carolina, and he was definitely a great player, freshman in the starting lineup. So looking forward to seeing what he brings to Charlotte when he gets on the field.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the first game I ever went to, he had a pick six in that game and was right there in front of us. It was just awesome. I still got the video from that. I actually rewatched it the other day. I thought it was pretty cool. It just happened to pop up on my memories. But JQ Conley, North Carolina's defense over the last 5 years, if you know anything about them, they have been soft to say the least. And they've been really, they've really let us down in the expectation department. Yet all the expectations are there and they always let us down. But when Carolina's defenses were, doing good, typically Jaquarius had a stamp on that somewhere during his time. So he's awesome, but he's just one of many transfers that Charlotte got in this past season. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the number is 53, 54 transfers this past season.
I think they got 44 transfers, which is atop the nation. They got 71 new players, which I believe is third in the nation. It's a wild amount of new faces from a season ago.
Right. Jeez.
So do you believe that with all of that, with all that newness coming to the team, look at Florida State. I think Florida State's a great example of this in a bigger conference. Do you believe that's helping Biff Poggi, or is it kind of hurting him?
I mean, I think that's the reality of a school like Charlotte. In the group of five, you're in the AAC. If you're a top end player, I mean, you saw it last year, right? They brought in a bunch of new transfers, guys coming from Georgia Tech, for example, Demetrius Knight. He is mainly a special teams guy with Georgia Tech. He comes to Charlotte, leads the team in tackles, has a couple picks, plays his way all the way up the depth chart, and now he's back in the portal playing for South Carolina. So it's almost like a springboard, right? If you come to the group of five and you perform, you're going to have that chance to either go to the league or revert back, bounce back to the Power 5, Power 4 now, and make that next step. So for Charlotte, I think it's key. Regardless, you have to plug holes, but at the same time, the continuity that you're bringing in isn't the same as I think it once was. Like when Charlotte had Will Healy, right? He was the coach from 2019 to 2022. They had a very similar core team that whole time. It was quarterback Chris Reynolds. They had a couple of receivers that are playing on Sundays now. Guys like Alex Highsmith, Marquise Watts, both in the league. They had a core team, and they built around that, plugged those holes with the portal. Now, did it work out for them? Not necessarily. They went to one bowl game in that stretch, and that was kind of before the portal took off in 2019. I think they have to do it now because it's hard to keep your top end talent in the school regardless due to NIL. But that's the thing is, like, if you're not externally recruiting guys from the portal, your team isn't going to look what you want it to on paper. And I think that's translating on Saturdays.
All right. So you work for the Observer. So we don't have any media credentials. So, we can kind of talk how we want. So after this JMU loss, I knew what was coming. I knew you guys was going to be on the podcast. So and Twitter or X, sorry. It's not the friend. It's not a safe space for anybody after a football game. But
you're really setting us up well, brother. I hear you, dude. Get after it.
So Mike Miller,
yeah,
I'm assuming he's the offensive coordinator. The fans seem to say that he is trash, no good, has no scheme. Is that how you perceive the fan base, or is kind of reverting back to Nathan's question, or is it just it's hard to have a good offensive scheme because your locker room's like a revolving door, so to speak?
Yeah, I think if I understand your question correctly, you're talking about Mike Miller's scheme. What do I think of that scheme, or how it fares with plug and play players?
Right.
Okay, so
the plug and play.
Yeah, I mean, just as you guys know, North Carolina's had top end quarterback talent for the past how many years now, going Sam Howell to Drake May. And when you think about that, Charlotte had Chris Reynolds, who I mentioned, for 5 or 6 years. And going into last year, it was a plug-and-play quarterback, Jalen Jones, who spent some time with Deion Sanders at Jackson State, bounced around. He couldn't throw the ball down the field, right? He could run, but as far as it's like Clemson with DJ right now. If you can't put the ball down the field, they're going to take – your offense is going to be extremely one-dimensional. And so Charlotte played 2 quarterbacks, the other being Trexler Ivy. He was a walk-on at the time. Little to no pocket awareness, got sacked a ton of times, took a lot of bad sacks, but he could throw the ball down the field. So it was like when you saw number 11, Ivy, come out on the field, you pretty much knew it was going to be a pass. And then when it was Jones, you knew they were going to run the ball. So as far as year one in Mike Miller's scheme, they didn't have someone that could make the plays, right? And you talk about North Carolina right now. Obviously, Max just got hurt. But similar situation with him and Harrell. And I think having split starters at quarterback does one thing in your huddle, and 5 guys are thinking it should be one, and the other 5 might be thinking it should be the other quarterback. I think that causes discrepancies in an offense, and I think we've seen that forever. So year one under Mike Miller definitely was not a good season. 17.5 points a game. You can't win like that. And most of the games they were trying to overcome multiple short fields, a lot of turnovers. Just a rough season under Miller. So to debut with this new revamped offense, because Max Brown is a solid quarterback in my opinion. He played a few games at Florida, made a start against Florida State, held his own, did well for the situation he was in, and he's flashed a lot in camp for Charlotte. But to put up 7 points against JMU in a game that, guys, they had the ball with the lead 2 times in the second quarter. And both of those drives resulted in interceptions, and that's when the game starts getting away from you. So that offense, I'm not going to go on here and say that Mike Miller sucks or can't coach, because I don't agree with that. But at the same time, there is a clear gap that he's got to make up, right? They have to be able to score points to win games. And no matter how well the defense under Ryan Osborne is playing, if you can't put up, and even if it's sustained drives and give your defense some rest, you have to be able to move the ball and put points on the board to do anything that Charlotte wants to do this season.
Yeah, I want to zone in on Max really quick, because he's a guy that I'm very interested in. You pointed out perfectly what I was going to bring up there with him taking the time. He came from Florida. He did come in for Graham there for a little bit in that game against Florida State. Played pretty decent, to say the least. And now he comes over to Charlotte. In his last game, I saw some mixed reactions from the fan base. Now, I don't know how much that, correlates or anything. He did throw for 193 yards, was 48.9% from his completion percentage, had a touchdown, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks on the game. Tell us a little bit about his play style and how you think Mike Miller is going to want to use him in his scheme.
Yeah, I think what we didn't see Saturday night is probably one of his bigger strengths, and that's the design QB run game. He had a 20-yard scramble, I think it was in the first quarter, and I think everyone in the crowd realized right then that he's got some wiggle to him. He can make that move and make people miss. And he was on the run quite a bit Saturday night, but none of it was designed. And I think that's what he excelled in under Billy Napier at Florida. In the two, he replaced Graham against Missouri, played most of the second half of that game, and then started against Florida State. So I would say about 6 quarters of meaningful football. And a lot of it was him using his legs, design rollouts, RPOs, things to get, like I say, his strength, because he's got that speed. He can make people miss. So I think his strength wasn't necessarily utilized last Saturday, and I think it's for 2 reasons. I think Charlotte knows they got to protect him, so you don't want to put him in too many rough situations, because behind him is a true freshman, Deshaun Purdy, and then Ivy, who I mentioned from last year. But I think the key issue with Charlotte last week and what they have to clean up on is just flat out creativity. Like if you watch most of that game, they're running very similar to the same play over and over. 7-yard curls thrown to the right side of the field almost over and over and over. JMU sat in cover 4 all night, so Charlotte was trying to hit shallow crossers, little things like that, because JMU clearly had no interest in giving up the big play. But I think Charlotte's going to have to take some shots. I mean, if you can get some PIs, there are things that are possible to get an offense going, even if your receivers aren't creating space. So I think Max has the talent to make those plays. I think Mike Miller does have to put him in position to make them, though.
Yeah, let me follow up on that really. Let me follow up on that really quickly because you hit on something there. Taking shots and they need to get going on offense. But let me ask you, when it's not Max Brown running the football, listening to Mack Brown's press conference this past just yesterday, as a matter of fact, he was talking about. I think it was actually Jeff Collins' interview. He was talking about the weapons that you guys have, some 6'5" wide receivers, some tight ends over there that you guys like to run. A lot of the same personnel groupings that we saw out of Minnesota. Tell us who the top playmakers that Max Brown is going to look to get the ball to in that offense.
Definitely. So Sean Brown, it's like the Brown to Brown connection. What can Brown do for you type of stuff going on with Charlotte.
Hey, we're UPS drivers. That's perfect for us.
Hey, man. So Sean Brown had 3 catches all last season and had his best game of his career, 7 catches, 60 yards, made some big plays for them in some key spots. And then Isaiah Myers, who's an Independence Community College transfer, caught his first Division I touchdown, had a couple catches. I think he's going to end up playing a lot more. Then there's 2 other guys in the wideout room that didn't see any action that I think are probably the 2 best wideouts on the team. That's Jairus Mack, leading receiver from a year ago, had 453 yards and a couple touchdowns, no targets on 48 snaps in Saturday's game. Then Omega Blake started his career at South Carolina.
That is an awesome name.
Top tier name, man. And he had 1 target, caught the ball. Those are 2 of the biggest playmakers in practice. Sean Brown is probably the most physical of them with the corners. Like, he will really lean into corners and work the refs there. But those 3 or 4, and then Colin Weber, the tight end, he's going to play a ton, and he's probably Charlotte's best returning piece, especially run blocking. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's you was talking about. At least throw it downfield and maybe get that PI. That's kind of how I thought Minnesota played it. They just threw the ball downfield and just seemed like they was praying for a pass interference call, and that kind of turned their game around. But my final question is, and it's just a general thought. I don't know a lot about the 49ers. I don't know a lot about the schedule. I don't know a lot about who you guys play. But what's the overall feeling for the 49er fan base for the success this season, and what the fan base is hoping that this fairly new football team can do?
Definitely. So they've got 1 bowl game under their belt back in 2019, as I mentioned. They won 7 games that year. That's pretty much the standard for the school, is get to a bowl game, right? They want to be competitive in the league. They won 2 AAC games their first year in the conference last year. It's a tough year for Poggi. And I think it's really just be competitive, right? They've got to start winning. Poggi's 3-10 now. Ever since they beat Duke at home in 2021, they've only won a handful of games, right? And we're talking, it's been a few years. Like, they're 3-9, 2 years in a row, 0-1 to start the year. So Charlotte's got to get it going in the right direction. I think one thing about them is they're not scared to schedule big non-con games. I mean, we talked about it off air a few minutes ago. They're going to Georgia next year. Like, North Carolina's coming to Charlotte. Like, they've got Ohio State on the schedule in the future.
What?
Like, they like these big games, but at the same time, yeah,
Charlotte's going the Appalachian State route. That's what they're doing. I respect it, bro. I do. I really do.
And it's paydays, right? Like, they played at Duke in 2020 and get blown out. I think it's like 53-21 or something. And then Duke comes to Charlotte the following year, and Charlotte beats them at home. So they schedule big games. They want that, you mentioned exposure, but at the same time, when you're looking at a win-loss record, when you got all these big dogs on the schedule, you're hurting your chances. You're hampering your opportunity to get to that 6-win mark. So I think this program's got to continue to grow, and they've got to continue to put themselves in big spots like this, because one of them at some point is going to pop, and that's what they need.
That is awesome, dude. That is, and honestly, I've been keeping an eye on Charlotte myself. Because they're relatively new to the football world. They didn't join and start playing football until 2013, and started off FCS. I think went Conference USA, and then what was it last year? Joined the AAC, the American there, and you like the trajectory, man. They've moved up relatively fast, and I like it, man. More, just 40 minutes up the road, more local schools getting better and better. The state of North Carolina getting even better, and you like to see that a lot. And it's created some opportunities for guys that I actually know. I went to high school, graduated same class as Marquise Watts, and I've been keeping an eye on him, and to see him get a shot in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it has been awesome. I've reached out to him and everything. Cool dude, and I'm really, I'm really proud of him. And not only that, but guys off of our coaching staff, Coach Dre Bly, Tim Cross, Tim Brewster, guys like Justin Olson and JQ and Dante Balfour as another one, getting opportunities at a different level, and being able to go out there and hone their craft and get an opportunity to really showcase and shine where they may not at a place like North Carolina, and they're just down the road. Charlotte's 2 hours from Chapel Hill, so it's been really cool to see. And I'm hoping that Charlotte does really well. I hope you win all the games except for tomorrow, or this coming Saturday. I would really love it if y'all put up a fight against like Georgia. That would be hilarious, dude. I love it. I love the Group of Five madness. We've had to deal with App State over the last 3 years. That's been a heart attack and a half, and I'm good with that. So hopefully, this goes a little bit easier. But I want you to give us a little synopsis of the team, and then we got one little fun question.
I just got a little
Hunter,
fun comment. Then I'll be finished. Too bad you didn't have FSU on the schedule, because they're looking pretty soft this year.
dude, that would be you get an ACC win
The
for
49ers
sure with them. DJU would hand you the ball a few times.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, dude, tell us in a complete synopsis what kind of a football team Charlotte is, how they like to operate on offense and defense, and what do you expect out of them in Chapel Hill on Saturday?
Definitely. I'll start with the defense. That's definitely the strength of this team. Their front four is pretty good, and I'd say they wreaked havoc in the first half against JMU, and I think they'll do a solid job Saturday. They definitely have to work on kind of fatigue. I think their production waned in the second half of that game Saturday. But watch out for Stone Handy, number 7. He started his career at Auburn, made a stop at Indiana, is now at Charlotte. And then Chance Williams, who just came over from Miami. He had a strip sack in Saturday's game. That's the thing. I mean, we talk about the revolving door of portal. There's a bunch of big name guys on the defense as far as big programs that they came from. But it's how are they going to fit together? Balfour, as we talked about, one of the better corners in the American. He had an interception Saturday. And then a couple guys that we mentioned earlier too, but JQ, Mordecai McDaniel, those are kind of key staples in the secondary, and they're going to need those guys to step up and be available. Ryan Osborne's a defensive coordinator. That guy's a mastermind. I think he's going to have opportunities at the next level again. He was on Michigan's staff, went to the Ravens as an outside linebacker coach, and then took the Charlotte defensive coordinator job. So, like I say, that dude knows ball, and he'll put Charlotte's defense in positions to win in the game. It's can the offense score? And I'll transition there. All the pressure's on Max Brown. They invested in this kid NIL-wise. They brought him to town, built an O-line around him. And like I say, that's the deal. Bipoji wants to run the ball. That's his game coming from Michigan. But can Charlotte establish line of scrimmage and get their backs going? Because it happened in spurts in week 1. But they're going to need that more and more to open up that play action game and get Max Brown out of the pocket, because that's where he thrives. I think the identity of this team is still to be determined, but they hang their hat on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that's what's going to have to keep them in games until this offense finds their footing.
Yeah. Well, at least y'all started on one side of the ball, defense. North Carolina hasn't fielded one of those since 2015. I don't know. We'll see what happens this year. They didn't look too bad against Minnesota until
They look pretty solid
the
at
last
Minnesota.
minute.
Quite frankly, you kind of are explaining a very similar situation to North Carolina. They're trying to hang their hat on defense right now, and defense kind of lead the team while the offense gets this thing figured out with Connor Harrell now coming in, your backup quarterback, and getting that thing going. But will you or any of the crew be at Chapel Hill this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be there, man. I'm looking forward to it. I've been to Keenan
Sweet.
quite a few times as a fan back in the day, so looking forward to it.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to be there myself. Going to be looking forward to it. Vlogs coming out from that. It's always a good time. But hey, so we're relatively new in this whole scouting report deal, and we happen to stumble across a gym, and we're going to keep this thing going, Alan. We're going to keep it moving, But the first one that we had the Minnesota guys, Sky U podcast did a great job. And towards the end of this thing, they got to telling us about some of the traditions that they have up there in Minnesota. Some pretty cool things. Milk tanker trucks that they drink out of, buckets of cookies, mini donut beers, all kinds of crazy things. They get crazy up there in Minnesota.
That's the state fair.
Dude, it was
that was the state fair. That wasn't. No, that was the state fair.
State fair, but I mean, it's
not something that they serve
trucks.
inside the state. It's not something they serve inside the stadium.
I don't know, man. They were asking us about our milk intake, so I'm willing to bet at least $1 that you go to their stadium, they're serving milk on tap.
I should have asked if they had it if like milk was on their menu in the concession stand.
But tell us, dude, how does Charlotte get down during games, bro? Is there some super cool traditions that we don't know about that the people need to know about? Maybe they want to partake in. We're coming there next year. I'm going to be there. I'm looking forward to that. Tell us what we can look forward to a typical Charlotte 49er game.
Definitely, man. So there's probably the best tailgate spot is called an ambulance. It's an actual ambulance that they've converted into a tailgate spot, and they pull it up right outside the doors of the stadium, and they take shots out of this pickaxe shots. They make a bunch of different drinks, man. When I went to UNC Charlotte, so when I was a student, I was hitting the student tailgate. So I haven't, I guess, partied with them too much, but I definitely stop by and say hello every time I'm out there. Interesting crowd, man. They definitely have fun because what if your team's probably going to lose the game? What do you got to win? And that's the tailgate, right? So they're doing that. They're doing their thing, and yeah, man, Charlotte's an interesting environment. I hope to see the tailgating scene continue to grow as the stadium expands here soon. I think that's the next step. They built this. It's called the 49th Acre. That's the new student tailgate spot. I'm still a little jealous about it because when I was in school, we were tailgating in like a parking lot. They have this whole thing now. So it's definitely coming along, man. And yeah, when Chapel Hill comes to town next year, that's going to be a really hot ticket for Charlotte. And at least what I know is by then they should have at least a few thousand extra seats for that game. So we'll see. We'll see if it's finally done. They've been working on this master plan to renovate the stadium for a while now. So looking forward to that. But yeah, man, Charlotte's a good time. Definitely come on down next season.
Pickaxe shots.
Yeah, man.
Let's go. Dude, we are two for two for random fun.
Yes, we are, dude.
You can't make this
awesome
stuff.
You know what we're going to do?
Pickaxe
At the end of the year, we're going to do a poll. We're going to do a poll with all of these crazy different things that we've learned. Because I have a feeling we're just at the tip of the iceberg with this. So, like, by the end of the year, we're going to poll this and see who has, like, the best traditions. Because this is
dude, a shot out of a pickaxe, dude, that's got to be number one right now.
Somebody specially made the glass? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, there's, like, notches in the base of the axe that the shots sit in, and it's, like, 3 or 4 people do it at once, man. It's funny. And normally, so if any big alums that come back to campus, they'll have them do it. catch the AD out there from time to time. It's a fun time, man.
Catch the AD.
He's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be pissed. But Mike Hill, Charlotte's AD, is actually, for the record, I've never seen him actually do the shot, but he'll come out there.
Oh wait, he's correcting himself now. He's correcting. He's like, oh wait. Oh, allegedly.
So
This
Mike
is
Hill.
what happens when a beat writer gets on a fan podcast. Jesus Christ.
So Mike
He's
Hill
like, I
is,
have to watch myself for so many times, man. I'm not doing it tonight. Oh
Yeah.
man.
I'm sure he can probably bleep that last name out, so it just says Mike. I've seen Mike out there.
So I'll tell you, Mike Hill is a Carolina alum, so he is their athletic director, Charlotte's athletic director. He's definitely looking forward to this one. So
the craziest thing we
Good
got is
deal.
we got a head coaches that dances, which I'm surprised he didn't do after the Minnesota win. You know, just to lighten the mood a little bit.
Either they didn't show it. Well,
oh, you know they'd show that. Carolina loves doing that. But holy cow, man! Any more questions, Alan, before we get out of here? Man, this is
I
great.
think that covers it for me, bro. That covers it for me.
You're done with pickaxe, huh? You're done with the pickaxe.
Yeah, I'm done with the pickaxe. 49er Fortnite edition.
That is awesome, dude. That is sweet, man. We absolutely appreciate you coming on tonight. You've given us a lot of insight. And again, if you are a Charlotte 49er and you are watching this scouting report and you made it this far, be sure, go ahead, go down to the description, click the link, head over to the Highway 49 Podcast YouTube channel, go subscribe to them, go check them out on Spotify, and go check them out on Twitter. Check out all the stuff that they do. They do a great job covering the 49ers. You guys have got to get some film of this whole pitchfork type deal. You got to do that. You have to do that. I hope we're putting the pressure. Charlotte 49ers, put the pressure on these guys. Put the pressure on them. We need this filmed. Because this is absolutely amazing, man. We've had a blast. Thank you all for coming out here tonight, and looking forward to seeing how this game turns out Saturday in Keene. 3:30 kick. Looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here, and as always,
go Heels.
Oh, by the way, Alan.
Yeah.
Where are we playing at this week?
Where are we playing at?
Yeah, where are we playing at this week?
Keenan?
Home.